I have a few questions that we're going to start with from the audience. Do you remember when you both first met?
Uh, I certainly do, because I was petrified.
And so was I. Yeah, so was I. Yeah, you describe it first, Brad.
Well, it was the read-through for The Crow Trap. That was the book that Anne introduced the character, although that wasn't the first episode we recorded. And as you probably hear when you listen to the episode, the accent is rather tricky. Well, it's not only Americans who find it tricky, Brits do as well. And I particularly found it tricky. But I worked very hard on it, and I turned up for the read through, and who would be sitting along the side of the room was Anne Cleeves. Oh my Lord. I thought they'd be ringing central casting any minute and replacing me. But I got away with it.
And I was equally terrified, because I was this author. I knew nothing about television. I didn't know how the read through would work. I felt total imposter in this group. You know, there was Brenda, who'd not long before been a double Oscar nominee, and me sitting in a corner looking in. So yeah, but afterwards Brenda came out and said hello, and we've been getting on ever since, I think.
Yeah.
You hit it off right away, it sounds like.
Yeah.
And you've been writing Vera for some time, and Brenda, you've been playing Vera for many years. Do you think her character has changed over time, either in both print or on screen?
I feel that the audience's attitude to her has changed a bit. I think when it first went out, I'm not sure people liked it very much, because she was rather abrasive. But because Joe Ashworth, who's still alive and well in the books, by the way, her sidekick, they loved him, the audiences loved him. And because he liked her, and her team liked and respected her, I think people warmed to her. It's in life, really. You might meet somebody you don't like very much. You get to know them a bit more, and you think, hey, hold on, no, they're all right. They're okay. The opposite can happen, of course. You think somebody's wonderful, you get to know them, and then find out they're horrible people. But I think people really warmed to Vera. And obviously, the more I do, the more I get to know about her from Anne's books. Yes, of course, you learn things as you go along. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think in the books she's maybe mellowed a bit, and that's partly down to the way that Brenda plays her. I think I'm so fortunate, because the Vera of the books and the Vera of the screen are so similar. And there are very, very few writers of books of prose that have their works adapted so faithfully. So I think I've just been really, really fortunate. And I certainly, when I'm writing dialogue now, I hear Brenda's voice in my head. And I think, I hope the script writers keep that in, because Brenda's going to love saying that. If it's a bit of a put down and she's being rude to somebody.
I do love those bits.
It's interesting to me. So her character in the book has softened over time, because Brenda has softened her character on screen over time, and that's affected the way that you write, Anne?
Yeah, I think so. I think Brenda has brought a real humanity to her, and I've got to know her better through watching the performance. So I think it's been it's been a really nice symbiotic relationship, really, that we're both developing the character in different ways, but in a way that matches very well, so that readers and viewers think that they're meeting the same character.
That's very flattering to hear you say that, Anne. Thank you.
No, it's true. I think it's a great working relationship, a great creative relationship, I think.
And I bet
I'm like a policeman on set, actually. If new directors come in, or new writers want something that I think is not in Anne's original vision, I'm on the phone to her, or I get them to change it to make sure it stays organic to Anne's creation.
Yeah. So that's, I mean, how fortunate am I that it's like having a representative on set, isn't it? It's brilliant.
Do they listen to you when you say absolutely not? Vera would never do that.
Everyone listens to Brenda.
Yes, I say it loudly.
Listen, pet. Vera is really popular around the world, airs in so many countries. And whenever I ask a mystery fan in the United States if they've watched the series or have read the books, more often the answer is yes. Why do you think that character and series are so popular and so universal in a way?
Because she's an older woman who is strong, competent, and doesn't care what she looks like. And I think that, and she's not defined by the other people in her life. So she's not worried about her kids, and she's not got a husband that she needs to go home and look after. And I think there are lots of women, strong women like us, who want to be represented on screen.
And she's not a threat. She's not dependent on lipstick. She doesn't look like she's just walked off a catwalk. And as far as the series is concerned, the whole family can watch. A nephew of mine watches with young children, and in the ad breaks they discuss who they think is the culprit. And but there's nothing gory. It's all left to the imagination.
If there was anything gory, I wouldn't watch it. But it is a really good point. It is a family show that everybody can watch. I'm sure
and I think the script writers are really great at maintaining tension, because I watched an episode last week. There was one murder, and this is over 2 hours with ad breaks, and yet they still managed to maintain the tension. And I think it's a sign of really competent script writing, that you don't need somebody else to die to keep the storyline going. I think it's really, really clever.
It's true. There are a lot of American stories that will rely on gore or music, or and it's all about the plot in the television show. Anybody, if you want to ask questions, feel free to approach the mic, and Diane and Ezra will help you out. A question from one of my colleagues at Minotaur. Brenda, have you ever suggested a plot point to Anne to put in the books? Do you ever think about what should be written, or vice versa, actually?
No, I haven't. I'm not clever enough to do that. However, when we were making the pilot, the very first episode, my driver was a retired superintendent. Police superintendent. And as we were driving across that very, very long causeway, we were thinking, what would happen if you, at the dead of night, if the tide's out, you buried somebody there, and then would they ever be found? We did wonder about that.
And of course, that causeway appears in the most recent book and in one of the episodes. Yeah, in The Rising Tide.
Okay, good. I think we have a question in the corner. Go ahead.
Hi, Anne and Brenda. I just love the show so much. We've watched absolutely every episode. I wanted to know, it's probably in the books, but there's not much about Vera's background. The way Brenda plays it, you sense that there's some real damage, hints about her father, but nothing about her mother. There's the house out in the middle of nowhere. Forgive me if it's in the book, but I just wanted you to talk a little bit about what her background is, and if you'll bring it out in some of the future episodes.
I think, yeah, she was brought up by her father, who was quite neglectful. She didn't have a happy childhood. Her mum died when she was very young. I think one of the episodes that is going to be in this series is called The Darkest Evening, and you get to know a little bit more about Vera's family then. That's in the script as well, isn't it, Brenda?
Yeah, it is. But I think it's quite nice that the audience is drip fed. I think if you know everything about somebody, you lose a little bit of interest. And if you're intrigued by somebody, it's more interesting, I think. Yeah, although she didn't have a great relationship with her father, and disapproved of him. She's kind of protective towards him. She can think that, but nobody else can. But I think it's pretty normal anyway.
Yeah.
There are complimentary copies of the paperback of The Darkest Evening in the gift bag, so you can read about Hector, her father, which I'm pretty obsessed with, and I want to learn about more about him as well. Go ahead.
Hear me? Oh, she can hear me. Hi. We love you in the United States. I think collectively we can all say that the U.S. just loves you. And you're considered the other woman, Vera, in my life. So my question is that in playing Vera for 12 years now, or 12 seasons, how much of Vera is in Brenda and how much of Brenda is in Vera?
Well, she's 5'2". Brown eyes. I am a problem solver. I love when we were children, we were quite poor. We didn't have a television or anything. And my father would set us brain teasers to work out. We did puzzles. I'm a member of the Times Crossword Club here. I love cryptic puzzles. And I can sit and ponder them all day long. Even if I don't get any of them, the clues, I enjoy the process of trying to work it out. So from that point of view, I'm kind of a bit like her, trying to find out what's going on. Or if you wanted to get a wardrobe through a keyhole, I will find a way of doing it. Her humor, I do have a sense of humor. That's one thing my parents left us. They didn't leave us anything material, but they did leave all of us children a great sense of humor, and to be able to laugh at yourself is a great thing. Yeah.
I think as well, Brenda, that you're in the show, you're the matriarch of the team, and certainly on set I have the sense that you're very much in charge and you're very much looking after the newer members of cast.
Oh, I do, and because the young people, when they come in, they've only seen Vera on the telly, they're petrified of them. So you're right, I do make a point of putting them at their ease, yeah, being silly or making jokes or doing something silly.
Go ahead.
What? Just one quick question. First, I'm probably speaking on behalf of most people here. Thank you so much. Vera is a show that I got to watch with my mother and my great aunts, and now my daughter has watched it with me, and it's just a wonderful family thing to get to share together. But I have a very important question about last season. Did Kenny really bake that Victorian sponge it looked like you're all eating in the office?
Of course he did. He's great fun. He'll often burst into song on set. He sounds like Meatloaf.
Wow.
On the last week of filming, we were raising money for Macmillan Cancer research, and we took cakes into work, and I won for my lemon drizzle cake.
I think we have a question over there.
Want the recipe?
First, I want to say, Brenda, one of my favorite film scenes of all time is you and Michael Caine dancing to Tom Jones, but in little voice. But my question is for Anne, and it's about your name. If I know my history, Henry VIII had a wife named Anne of Cleeves, and what did your parents name you Anne because of that? And
No, I married it at a time. I married a long time ago, so at a time when most women took their husband's names. So I married Cleeves. My parents weren't that mean. And of course, Anne of Cleeves was the Flanders mare who was so ugly that Henry VIII decided that he couldn't possibly marry her after all. So she outlived all the other wives. So she survived.
so a mystery writer is named after the one that got away.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just want to quickly mention that it's very late in the UK where Anne and Brenda are. They're not down the street. They are across the ocean. So really appreciate them staying up this late. Anne is in a bookshop called Bound in Whitley Bay, a beautiful shop. And Brenda's in London. Do we have any other
Actually, I'm on the southeast coast.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Apologize.
She's on the
okay.
coast too, so we're both looking out at the sea. But
Yeah.
I'm up at the northeast and Brenda's down at the southeast. But Whitley Bay is a place that, if ever you come, you'll recognise lots of locations from the Vera series, because most series, at least 1 or 2 scenes are filmed here. So
It's a lovely place. It's a great place.
Not a different show, but I've had the opportunity to visit Anne in the Shetland Islands as well, and it was one of the best weeks of my life. It was really great.
come to Northumberland, Martin. Come and see us here.
I'm trying to retire early so I can go to everywhere.
Newcastle is party town.
I'm not too old for that yet. Hopefully everywhere. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. I wonder if either of you would be willing to share with us if there's any particular episode that you like best, or you fancy.
I liked the Seagull, which actually was at Whitley Bay, filmed at Whitley Bay, and which delved a little bit, that episode delved a little bit into Vera's background, bringing the father into play. It was from the book, it's from Anne's book, and those are my favourite episodes, actually, if I'm honest, all of those ones. And it was well directed, and that was one I particularly liked. What about you, Anne?
Yeah, the Seagull was fun because in the book it features a very glitzy Art Deco nightclub. And when they came to film in Whitley Bay, they turned the public lavatories into the Seagull, into the nightclub. So we all found that very, very entertaining.
I just wanted to let you know that I have been to Whitley Bay, and we can name that Whitley.
Good.
I'm sure you've both been asked this question before, and you mentioned that Vera is a rare character on television. There are not that many older women characters as developed and round as she. Who was the inspiration for Vera? An original inspiration, and maybe people that you have met along the way that remind you of Vera as well.
I can say this because I don't think there are many Brits watching, but Vera in the book looked like my daughter's French teacher, who was quite large and very brusque, but incredibly compassionate when you got underneath that abrasive exterior. But I couldn't say that here because I bump into her sometimes in the supermarket.
That's really great. Go ahead. Any other questions for the audience?
Hi, in the books, I'm sorry, I haven't read them, but does Vera's attitude towards the character Kenny soften? It seems what happens in the series, or did the actor just say, please make her nicer to me? Or...
He loves it.
No, he's not in the books. It's a different, I've got Charlie in the books, and Charlie is a sort of nondescript, invisible, very good detective because he can slide unnoticed into situations, not like Kenny. And so Kenny came, I think, there wasn't another team member when they started filming because I don't think they could afford another actor. And then after a couple of episodes, apparently it was doing all right. So they brought in John Morrison to play Kenny, and he's been fabulous, I think. And Vera has always been horrible to him.
But there's a great understanding between them. He's her most loyal. He's very loyal to her, except one time when he was giving away secrets to an ex-officer, when she tried to get rid of him, but then repented an hour later. But if she wanted a shoulder to lean on, she would go to him first up.
I think we are going to close the Q&A session and let Anne and Brenda go to sleep.
Thanks very much.
Start the
I
premiere.
hope you enjoy the episode.
Thank you so much.
Is that it?
We found droplets of blood in the car.
Well, who do you think hurt him?
Isn't it obvious?
Well, that's just a coincidence.
Okay, let me tell you what I think. This is now a murder investigation. What is it we're missing? You think you're in the clear, don't you? Hmm?